Hello, everybody. Welcome to UGASports Live. My name is Radi Nabulsi. I'm joined by former Georgia Bulldogs head coach and College Hall of Fame inductee Jim Donnan. You remember Coach from all of his previous years here on our show, but which was way more important than the time he spent as Georgia's head coach. It's all the time he spent on UGASports Live that matters the most. And of course, we always appreciate him making time for us every Tuesday at noon. Of course, we also have Dayne Young joining us as well. Dayne's going to get your questions up on the board. He's going to launch a lot of topics for us. He'll make sure the show doesn't fall apart. We actually had a kind of a hacking situation last night where all of a sudden one of our contributors had shows fake live feeds going up on our YouTube channel. So we apologize for that. But that's when
that was a scary situation. You and I were back and forth on the phone, Roddy, being like, "How? Like we've managed this channel for so many years."
What were they rated? What were these? Nothing.
It was a crypto scheme, and we're like, "How is this going out over our channel?" We were losing our damn minds, Coach. It was
that's too bad.
But again, the first person I contact when there's a problem, Dayne, save my butt.
Yeah, he's good. He knows how to do it.
Yeah, he does. All right, we got a lot to talk about, but Coach, I'm going to start off start the show talking about the Super Bowl. Now, when I watch the Super Bowl, I watch to see if any Georgia guys are going to win a championship. Get that big ring for being the world champion. I watched Jared Wilson he had a rough game. But, of course, shout out to Kenny McIntosh on getting his. And, of course, Mike McDonald, a former Georgia graduate assistant, former a guy who was here, coached at Cedar Shoals, comes from the graduate of the University of Georgia, graduate from Centennial High School. I'm happy for Mike. I'm happy for Kenny Mack. I'm a little disappointed that Jared Wilson couldn't get his, but I'm also happy his team didn't win because I'm sick of the Patriots. So let me get your thoughts on the big game.
Yeah, Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator for Michigan in the Orange Bowl against Georgia. No, I just had to throw that out there.
That's cold-blooded.
No, I tell you what, that guy's done a remarkable job of just progressing as a coach and moving up the ladder. And what an unbelievable job he did with his team this year. I was happy for one person in particular, 42, Drake Thomas is the son of one of my players at Marshall that won the national championship in 92. And so his dad's a national champion and he's a Super Bowl champion. He kind of goes against the situation of what you expect for a linebacker. He's just barely 6 feet tall, undrafted out of NC State. But had a heck of a year as a linebacker and special teams player. Plus his brother's playing for the Minnesota Vikings. So, you never know. There's always an exception, but I was really happy for him. And like you said, this looked like they just couldn't block these guys. I mean, it was just overwhelming presence by that defense and just kept them, I don't know how many punts they had in a row, but a lot of them. And then their offense, I mean, you look at the running back situation there. There's a kid that 5 years ago was playing for Wake Forest and decided to hit the portal and moved on to Michigan State. And, he's had a good, he was really came on strong when Charbonnet got hurt there down the stretch for the Seahawks. And they were just able to pound the ball enough to set up some play action and really a big time win.
Coach, if I say veteran quarterback that doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, defense that is imposing, flies around, tough to run on them, doesn't that kind of sound like how Georgia tries to win?
Well, for sure, our defense has been really stellar here, except maybe the last couple of years it hasn't been anywhere near what it was, but a lot of it has to do with who's playing. But reality is, to me, you got to run the ball and stop the run if you're going to win, whether you're Georgia or Kennesaw State or wherever you are. I mean, that's just the way it is. And the same thing in the pros. The teams have got good running game and good defense against the run because everybody's got a quarterback that's capable of throwing the ball. Sometimes they're not as capable as others, but reality is, plus special teams, super duper there. This punter nailed them inside the 10 a few times, and they got a little bit of return yardage on top of that. And anytime you can kick 5 field goals in a game, regardless where it is, that's impressive. Kid set a record for most field goals in the Super Bowl.
I felt there should have been in the first half at least 3 interceptions. I just felt like when they decided to throw it, it wasn't like these were clean windows, and it felt. In other words, it felt to me like Seattle took away the run and the pass because it felt like all their guys were just covered up.
Yeah, you can play a little tighter when you know you're getting that kind of pressure, and for the most part, I mean, they were talking about it. Mike Tirico said it hadn't been a penalty in the game, and then all of a sudden they got a motion penalty on the left tackle. But they played almost 30 minutes without a penalty, which is incredible. I mean, just and you look at that MO that Indiana had. I mean, don't beat yourself, don't turn the ball over, don't have a lot of stupid penalties, and have a good running game and a quarterback that's effective as far as being very patient where he throws the ball and distributes it. But you look at those receivers that they have. I mean, the kid from Ohio State got a little dinged up, but picking up the guys that they have and free agency, Cooper Kupp, there's a lot of inside presence catching the ball, and of course the tight ends look good too, and they hit Walker out of the backfield pretty well, particularly just a well-timed screen when they really needed it.
I kind of had the same feeling that Dayne referenced a second ago. It felt very Georgia philosophy. And I know that's, football philosophy, but we always like to talk about, this quarterback being a star, or this running back being a star. We like to take the big game and shrink it down to an individual player or two. But yeah, it just felt that kind of suffocating defense. And then the offense wasn't really killing them, but you had a quarterback who would occasionally run, it's like, hey, look what he can do with his legs a little bit. And then, not a ton of explosives, but when they needed one, it changed the field. And then they'd punt them down, like you said, inside the 10. And it's like, okay, our defense is kicking your ass. And instead of going 65 yards, you got to go 90. And it just, you can see the frustration. I'm like, that's that kind of slow smother, occasional explosive play, keeping the ball, keeping time of possession, no turnovers. And it just felt like a Georgia game just from a few years ago.
I think the real significance to me in the first half was Vrabel, the coach of the Patriots, probably said, let's keep the lid on it. We're still within striking distance. We're only down 9, and they ended up getting that field goal. But, and then the second half, they got the early touchdown. I mean, the early field goal and then the touchdown. And then, of course, the interception for a touchdown was really the difference. But Sam Darnold had the kind of game that you need to, and it cost him too, which is incredible. And I'm not going to get into politics. That's not part of the show here. But you realize that he's going to have to pay the state of California $67,000 for winning the Super Bowl. And it's just an unbelievable tax rate out there. They have this thing called and I'm not an authority on it, but I was listening to some people talk about it yesterday. They have this CHOP rate. So if you come into the state, you have to pay a percentage of what you make from your salary based on the number of days you work. Well, he works for the Seattle Seahawks, makes $30 million a year, and he was in the state of California for 7 days, chopping it up there, getting ready for the Super Bowl. He made $176,000 for the Super Bowl, but he has to pay the CHOP rate of $240-some thousand. So he's going to pay the state $67,000 for winning the Super Bowl. I mean, come on. That's so ridiculous. It's just, and what do you think about these guys that got the minimum contract that, hey, they only making $800,000 is a lot, but that $176,000 is a big lick for them. And they got to pay a CHOP rate out of that. I mean, if I'm an NFL player, I'm saying let's don't ever play the Super Bowl in California.
Exactly. We're going to Florida. We're going to we'll play in Texas.
What are they going to do in the Olympics? I mean, is Gavin Newsom going to get a piece of every amateur that plays in the Olympics there in 2000? Of course, no telling what he'll be in office for by then. But it's just an unbelievable scenario that you got to pay taxes on from winning the Super Bowl. I mean, I think taxes are great and all that. You got to have them, but enough of that. But I'm just saying, Sam
I want to
Darnold,
see tax the gold medals.
Sam Darnold, it was worth it. He went to Disneyland, and Ian Walker on the show last night. I enjoyed him talking about it. That's always a thrill to see those guys go to Disneyland and see everybody kind of.
I loved as a kid. They would have that Disneyland commercial come out so fast.
Right.
And back then you couldn't turn stuff around like that. And they had it out. You almost felt like they recorded it ahead of time, but they would be like, "Hey, Joe Montana, you just won the Super Bowl. What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm going to Disneyland." It's him walking off the field, and they would get it processed so quickly back in the old days. I'm like, it felt magical. I'm like, wow, this is.
And you got to give ESPN, Disney a lot of credit. I mean, they had Sports Center from Disneyland yesterday. I mean, it's the same product. I mean, both of them owned by the same company, so they're just trying to promote it, and it's something else. Those parades are unbelievable. I mean, I've been in some of them before, and I told you the one that was just the most unbelievable for me was down in Mobile, and I've told this story a couple of times, but I'm gonna say it again. Down there doing a game for ESPN, and Mike Godfrey was running the bowl game, and they have the deal down there where you can go have the they were the first place to ever have the celebration, but even before New Orleans. So they got people throwing out beads and all that, this big parade. And so Mike said, be in the parade. I said, I don't want to be in the parade. No, he said, come on. So I go, and they don't have my float. Somebody had forgotten to fix a float for me. So I got to get in this float, and the guy's name on the side of the float is Walter Williams. I never will forget it, Walter Williams. So I'm going down that whole street, Mardi Gras type street in Mobile, and throwing out the beads, and everybody saying, "Hey, Walter!" Hey, Walter. So I was Walter Williams there. It was unreal. So I know what it's like.
Yeah, I remember my first check when I was working at ESPN came from Mickey Mouse. There's in the upper right hand corner is a logo of Disney. I'm like, why am I getting a check from Mickey Mouse? Oh yeah, I work for Disney. So that was kind of weird.
The last takeaway I had from the Super Bowl, and it's not even about either of the teams that played in it, but the Seahawks playing that way. What Matthew Stafford did in the NFC Championship to throw for 375 yards and 3 touchdowns against that defense and get the Rams so close to getting to the Super Bowl, he won the MVP, and he had the best season of his career. He's going to be an NFL Hall of Famer. What a year for Matthew Stafford. And the Rams are right on the doorstep. If you look back on it, the Super Bowl really happened at the NFC Championship.
Exactly. And you look back like 6 or 7 games ago, the Panthers lit them up with. I mean, that's a team that you just don't expect a lot of coming from the Panthers, but that's a good team turnaround. But you see these futures for next year. I mean, they've got San Francisco and the Rams ahead of the Seahawks as far as teams that they're picking to be in that. That's 2 teams in their own division. So, it's just like picking college football now. Right now, we don't know what's going to happen with these transfers. We don't know what's going to happen free agency here. And the draft, how it's going to affect each team. So, Walker's up for a new contract. What they'll do with them, and I'm sure Sam Darnold's probably going to say, "Look, I'm only making $30 million. I just lost $67,000 this case. I need some money." So we'll see what happens.
All right. Speaking of money, you can save yourself some money and probably some taxes if you go out to Athens Ford and hit on some of the specials they have going on. They have a bunch of fantastic used vehicles. They have 855 in stock right now. But if you want to get, say, the 2025 Ford Bronco, which Broncos are badass cars. If you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. They're fantastic. I'm glad they're back. But you get $8,000 off a 2025 Ford Bronco. 2026 Ford Explorer, I just put mile 200,000 on my Ford Explorer. They run forever, and you can get a new one, the 2026 for $6,000 off. F-150, best-selling truck in the universe, $15,000 off of 2025. And if you want to get the big Ford Expedition, they got $6,000 off of those for the 2025. So again, there's some few 2025s left. They've got them priced to move to get out of there so they can make more room for the 2026. And again, hundreds and hundreds of pre-owned vehicles that you can go out there and get. And remember, you can also just sell them your vehicle. If you're like, hey, I don't need to trade in, I just need to get rid of it, go out there and they will give you a price. Heck, you can take pictures of it and send it to them and they'll give you a quote. So hit them up when you get a chance. And also, Valentine's Day is coming up this, Saturday? Yeah, Saturday, the day I fly out. If you need something for Valentine's Day and you're not sure what to get, our friends at Darden's Delights have a fantastic promo going on. Use promo code UGASports, get 25% off of any of their pies. It's good for the entire month. But they have something special for Valentine's Day. It's called the Pack of Hearts. It's a 6-pack of love. And what they are, they're these heart-shaped chocolate chip cookies. They're fantastic. They're $5 a pop. But if you get them in the pack there, you get all 6 of them for only $25. And there's a 25% off coupon. So if you want to get the 6-pack of love from Darden's Delights, the individually wrapped chocolate chip cookies in heart shapes, that would be fantastic for anybody in your any relationship you're in, any office you're in, any friends that you may have, family, and send it to them. You need to order by tomorrow at noon. Okay. Today is Wednesday, the 10th. You need to order by the 11th at noon because these things go out. And if you want to get there on time, they got to have time enough to ship. So don't forget to use promo code UGA Sports to get 25% off. That's good for the entire month of February. That will end February 28th. So UGA Sports, but also the call to action is to go ahead and jump on it now so that you can, if you're trying to do something before Valentine's Day, you got to do it tomorrow by noon. So 24 hours from right this second.
Radi, are you familiar with the term sweet tooth?
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you need sweet teeth, Atlanta Dental Implants.
Prior to having the dental implants, I was in pain and there were like loose teeth and, it's kind of a little bit of a complex talking or smiling. Having periodontal disease and trying to find a good place like this place to get it done is very difficult. I'm looking at the website and I'm like, wow, they've got their prices like right there. Top arch replacement, bottom arch replacement, whatever you need. Highly recommend it. ATL Dental Implants. I'm learning to smile again, we'll just say.
That was a good transition, but you're still fired.
Yeah. I mean, anybody that's my age, you're going to be dealing with situations like that. And since these guys have come on, I haven't had anything else come up. But I promise you, to be able to go in there and have a one-stop shop and do everything instead of going one place for to get an MRI on and another place to, for them to fix you up for and then extract your tooth and set it up or whatever. And then going to the dentist to put the crown on. These guys are just, 5-star. Even rivals would give them a 5-star, which is hard to get from rivals. So you'll get a 5-star for this place, I promise you. And I don't want to go over there because that means I got something wrong. But when I do, I'm going to hit it just like the guy drinking Dos Equis, But when I am, I'm going over to that place.
I love it. That's as good as endorsement as possible.
Got a comment here from JWSCFB. Says, yes, keep talking football all year long. I love it. Thanks, guys. That's what we do on our channel here at UGA Sports. And we need to get to Georgia's search for a linebackers coach. And Radi, I don't know how much you want to say because some was on the vent in a What We Are Hearing thread. So if you want to go check it out there. But I don't know how much you want to say here about just what we're monitoring.
Well, we're always keeping an eye on who might pop up, and we have a name over at UGA Sports, so folks can go check out and see if that's going to be the new guy. We actually had a question came in from Mike S. He says, who will be the new outside linebackers coach? And then Dogfight says on Facebook, will a new coach help us attack the quarterbacks and get some sacks? So, Coach, I'm going to turn both those questions into one kind of hybrid one. You don't have to name names, as I've never put you in a situation where if you know what Kirby's doing, we're asking you to give us insight over there. I know you wouldn't do that, but what do you think Kirby's looking for in a new guy, and would it affect how Georgia would they change their scheme any with a new guy coming in, or they basically run the same defense they have and they're looking for a guy to implement what Kirby wants done?
Yeah, I purposely don't ever talk about new coaches because I don't want to be in a position where it even related that I might that's just part of the deal with you. I don't like to do that, but I feel like first of all, we're in a different atmosphere now for coaches because of the fact that you can Zoom and talk to more people. Back in the old days, you had to you first of all had to get permission from his coach, and then see if a guy could come in and you get him in here and then meet with him, and it's a process. But now with Zoom situation, or like we do, whatever StreamYard, whatever it is, you can actually meet face to face with people around the country and preliminary, figure out, will this guy fit in? Blah blah blah. How does he do on the chalkboard? How does he do on, recruiting visits, everything, and then narrow it down. But as far as what Kirby's looking for, we have a system in place here. I mean, it's proven system that's one big, and there's not going to be a change in philosophy of the overall system. Maybe a little technique or something somebody might bring in, but players win games and players lose games. You got to have talent, and that's the thing that's been the issue here. Last year, we had some younger guys that really weren't that great at affecting the quarterback. I mean, they got better as the year progressed, but it's not so much the coach, it's just who was playing. And you look at some of the guys that we lost, Damon Wilson, whoever it might be, and then two guys to the pros. Unfortunately, the one kid from 49ers tore his ACL, but Walker's playing for Atlanta. So it's hard to replace those guys. So I think from an answer to your question, he's going to look for a guy that can blend in. First of all, recruiting is paramount, ability to relate to a player. But now a banking degree where you can do NIL on top of it is something you got to be able to realize that on top of it. And then just fit in with the current staff, because we got some all-star coaches coaching on our staff. So the fit,
I guess
means a lot. We have had a situation here, not meaning anybody in particular, but we've had some guys that just didn't handle the situation very good, were not good fits for our system, and consequently didn't last very long, which, you got to cut the bleeding. But I think in the case of this position, it's been a pretty good run for us. We had Dan Lanning, and now we had Chadira, who's going to the NFL. And I can't blame him. He's got a young family. He's got a set of twins, very young, and then a young son. And you don't spend a lot of time at home here. I mean, you're on the road or you're working late at night, and he's got a chance to get right in there with an NFL team. Although Dallas is about 15 months pregnant on their defense. I mean, they've had 4 straight defensive coordinators, and they haven't been able to make it work. So they did hire a guy that has a background with the Eagles, coaching with the guy at the Eagles. So I'm sure they're going to run that system a little bit. So, and another guy that Kirby has a GA for him is going to be the secondary coach. So it'll have 2 guys with some Georgia backgrounds helping their defense.
I postulated right when the season ended, and people were asking, will there be any coaching changes? I said, look, Kirby's happy with the staff. He said this is the best staff he's had. Guys could get hired away. It happens a lot, and you could have changes, but I don't foresee any. But I said, if there were, I don't think that going out and hiring a top recruiter is as important as hiring a guy who could develop your players as much, because it's so much more parity and you just can't stack top talent. But you're basically telling me, no, it still matters in recruiting. And
I mean,
again, it's a theory on my part. I wanted to get that's why I asked you about it.
It's good what you're saying, but it's always a 3-pronged deal, ability to relate to the players, develop them, recruit, relate to the staff. I mean, there's a lot of different areas there, but I think in today's day and age, there's so much information shared with coaches and throughout the programs, as far as like right now, George is doing an in-depth study on itself, but a lot of the programs around the country, pro and college, about what was good for him, and watching the tape and doing all that. And he'll have, whoever the guy comes in is going to have access to that. But I just feel like with the wealth of training tape and the coaching aptitude on our staff that I just feel like even a younger guy without as much of it could learn how to do it pretty quickly if you're blend into the system and bring it. And there's something to be said about a younger guy that's going to hang around a couple of years as compared to an older guy that's on the move that might be going from here as a step to a coordinator. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's something you look at too. And but the overall thing that I also would want to emphasize is the staff solidarity is the fact that, like the guy from Tech came here a couple years ago, and now he's helping us coach the nickels, which he was able to do on the field now with the new rules. And, that helped a lot with Muschamp leaving to have him. So, and keeping the other secondary coaches helped too. And, of course, Trey Scott's just a staple at defensive line, among the better coaches in the country, pro or college. And then Schumann's got an unbelievable record. So it's a high octane, high duty defensive staff that somebody can come in here and nobody ever heard of Dan Lanning. I remember Dan Lanning from bringing this guy in Memphis. But, the thing about it, Kirby knew about him, just like he knew about Schumann. I mean, Schumann never been a coach, a full-time coach. He'd always been in the back, in the backlog there. But I would say Kirby's hiring here has been A+ when you look at the coaches he's turned out and the way he's developed coaches and where these coaches have gone from here. Made a couple mistakes, but a couple of these guys have fallen on their feet, though. I mean, a Dye guy, I mean, he's coaching in the pros, I think, third pro job already. So, and
look at Coach Fran, who gets to be a head coach from a position spot. That was pretty damn impressive.
That was definitely a plus hire, and it helped in recruiting too. But the one thing that a Dye guy did, he did bring that defensive back from West Virginia with it.
I just think about the network that Kirby has at this point. 10 years as the Georgia head coach. And then even before that, what was it? 8 years as the number 2 guy at Alabama. Like there's very few people in and around the sport. Maybe you, Coach Donnan, just because, it's always this guy that I coached at Marshall Sun or this guy that I coached with at North Carolina or when I was at Oklahoma. But like these networks just add up quickly. And then you think about all the teams that Kirby interacts with at this point, NFL guys coming in that maybe he had a good vibe with. Right. I mean, he's got to have 30 guys that he could think of quickly and say they'd probably be fine here, but who's going to be the best fit?
Right. That's what I feel like when I started out. I mean, the fact that you might have one guy that you think's the leader, but by bringing 4 or 5 in for a Zoom, then it just reinforces that or lets you know, hey, maybe these other guys are better. But the one thing you look at just recently, the secondary coach at OU just took a job with the Buffalo Bills. He was under Kirby here as a analyst, and then he moved on and got the job at Oklahoma, and now he's moving on. The guy that's the secondary coach for the Cowboys now was a GA for Kirby for a long time there at Alabama, and then he moved up to Kentucky, and his name was mentioned a lot of times to be the secondary coach coming here, but he moved up so fast he became a coordinator real quickly, and then he was right. So he's got a vast notebook, and a lot of people know who we hear about these guys that are under Kirby, but he's really good about helping young coaches progress. And just for instance, out there at Colorado State, the guy's a coordinator, offensive coordinator was up at last year at UConn. He was the assistant, kind of like Buster was here 2 years ago, and then he went to UConn, and then they went out to Colorado, and the Colorado State coordinator that went with him took a job a couple of weeks ago, and now he's the offensive coordinator at Colorado State after being here as a number 4 guy quarterback coach at Georgia. So I think
is that Tyson Summers?
Is it Price? Tyson
Summers is the defensive coordinator. Yeah. It's Price Tracy.
Yeah, Price. Yeah, he's a brilliant young coach, but another guy that just Kirby picked out of the woodwork and got him rolling.
Yeah, Kirby picks him up, and when I come out and say, "Hey, I'll put Kirby's staff decisions and roster decisions up against anybody else's in the known college football universe," because it's proven to be it. His coaching tree proves it. One thing that I don't think people would give him credit for, because it's not publicized, it's the coaching hires he doesn't make. There have been, when he's had open positions in the past, some big names have been postulated out there, guys that everybody knows. Everybody just assumes that coach is a good backs coach or a good offensive coordinator or something would be the guy that Kirby's going to hire. Kirby interviews them. They meet, like you said, they do the Zoom where they put him on the whiteboard, put him on the horns, give him some tests. What would you do in this situation? And Kirby politely declines. And you come to find out, there have been very few guys who've met with Kirby Smart who he interviewed for a position that went on to have super careers. That you really don't hear that. Like, Kirby turned me down, but I still blew up. He's got a sixth sense for guys who might be overhyped a bit. So there's been he's dodged some bullets.
You can't fake it on the interview when it comes to football. I mean, I've been on these interviews before where, 3 or 4 hours up there on the board, and I feel very confident about it. But at the same time, I've been on one where they didn't even talk football one time. I couldn't even believe it. We didn't know football, on the board, film, anything. Just a little bit of philosophy. But the guy was a lot more worried about how I was going to fit in with the staff than he was, the football wise. And that was at BYU because I wasn't a Mormon, and that was a tough deal. So, but I was very, it kind of made me feel pretty good that I had a chance to be the offensive coordinator of BYU. And I'm not saying that braggingly, I guess maybe I am, but just the fact is that, you had that kind of background throwing the ball to go to the epitome of passing game. And, but we didn't even talk anything about, I guess he felt like, hey, we got a quarterback. You just got to get him on the bus. So that was about it. But he basically de-recruited me, though. He said, I just don't know that your family could handle it out here. It's nothing against you or your family, but it's a big adjustment. And I always liked Lavelle. He was unbelievable. We go on those Nike trips, and Rick Newhouse was great for picking up the microphones and dropping lines in, like, is there anybody in the room that Steve Spurrier hadn't told what his golf score was today? Or he would say, okay, what's the over-under on how soon Lavelle's going to fall asleep after dinner? Just bust everybody up. It was pretty cool.
Coach, you have me looking at the bio of Price Tracy at Colorado State, and his first job in anything like this was in 2011 with Alabama as a recruiting specialist. So I assume that's where Kirby Smart met the guy when he was a young man. From there, he goes to Notre Dame in off-the-field roles for 4 or 5 seasons, Arkansas Tech, Idaho, back to Georgia in 2022, 10 years after Kirby would have first met him as a quality control tight ends coach. Then he goes to UConn after 2 seasons at Georgia, and now he's the offensive coordinator at Colorado State, presumably always one great season away from being a college head coach.
Yeah, that's incredible. And Jim Moore Jr. Has really had a pretty good career as he didn't do that great at Atlanta, but better than most coaches at Atlanta. But he he's like 73-33 as the head coach when you look at UCLA and all these other places. And Tyson Summers, another guy that has a background with Kirby, coming in there, did an unbelievable job that one year when he was out at Georgia Southern and worked with our defense and helped us in a lot of different ways. But that's the one. We've hit this enough today, but I would say that whoever they decide to hire has got to be somebody that has met a lot of scrutiny, and Kirby, I trust. And of course, Schumann has a lot of input in this too, because he's got to work with the guy, at a daily basis. So, but you look at what Kirby did, having things in the under control of the O-line, having that roster guy ready. I mean, that was big last year.
You mentioned the quarterback, having BYU having a quarterback. That's all they needed. We have a quarterback question from Big Barker. He says, why did they announce Gunnar Stockton as coming back? I thought he was already coming back.
I don't know that Kirby did that. I think it's more the agent, which I don't blame. I don't know how it worked out, but if you don't have an agent in today's football, you're probably checking out a lot of money. And, it's never been anything about, from my perspective with Gunnar, about money. He feels like he just wants to be the quarterback here. And then off the field, he's certainly gotten a lot of things going last year. But I think the agent that he hired put it out there, from what I read, that he was just, that Gunnar had a chance to go other places for more money, but he didn't do it. He stayed at Georgia. So, which, okay. But in today's market, I mean, the guy from Harvard went to TCU for $3 million. Come on. He was a 4th-rated quarterback in the Ivy freaking League. And he made $3 million.
He had a good agent.
Then you got the guy from Miami was at Duke, $6 million plus the payout to Duke. So, you got to think $5 million, at least $5 million for Sam Levitt to go to LSU. So it's out there, and I appreciate Gunnar's loyalty, and whatever they paid him, he deserves.
Well, and whatever they paid him, it would have been much more to do anything else, because it would have disrupted the entire room as well.
Yeah, here's what would have happened. This is my opinion, and I'm pretty much, I would say I'm wrong sometimes, and maybe more than I need to be at my age. But if you lose Gunnar because you bring in because he decides to leave, or because you bring in a high level portal guy, you're not only going to lose him, you're going to lose one of those other two, because they're going to say, look, we know what it's like with Gunnar as our competition. He's going to be out of here. But now you're bringing in a guy that's got 2 years left. I got no shot here. So It would have been very disruptive for that to happen. So we made the, right decision, I feel like, if Gunnar's the man, and certainly glad to see Ryan and Montgomery stick around too. I mean, that's great.
I've speculated leading up to the transfer portal opening. People are like, who are we going to lose? Who are we going to lose? And no one ever mentioned Gunnar Stockton. And I said, look, Gunnar's loyal. Don't get me wrong, but you can't not pay him what he's worth, because he's going to have an agent. He's going to know what, he's going to have to do what's best for him and his family. And just because the kid grew up thinking about playing at the University of Georgia doesn't mean, he won't leave. Look, Carson Beck was loyal. He stuck around through multiple years. And then he, last year it didn't work out quite the way he wanted to, but the offer he had from Miami was gigantic. And you can't tell me that LSU, Miami, all these teams that needed a quarterback weren't going to say, hey, that kid finished 7th in the Heisman voting. He has one of the super high QBR rating. He doesn't turn the ball over. He can run. He led them to an SEC championship. The kid's just a winner. He's tough as hell. He's a born leader. What if we offered him $4 million to come here? And if Georgia only offers him 1 or 1.5 or 2, you could be loyal. But if someone offers to double your salary or triple it, in some of these situations, you got to look around. And I never said that he would do so, but I'm like, if he's got a smart agent, that agent is taking calls. So just pay the man what he's worth and don't disrupt your squad. And
hey,
Georgia
look
did.
at it like this. I mean, everybody listening to the show is big Georgia supporters, and we don't want to get on any tirades. But hey, after Bennett leaves, we got to play Alabama at Alabama. We got a quarterback that's a little bit of an unknown, but he's also has been around the program. And Kirby made the move. He paid Beck. I mean, I don't know how much, but he paid him for that first year, and it paid off. I mean, for the second year, excuse me, and it paid off. And really, in the end, the same thing happened last year. We got this guy in from from India. They ended up going to Indiana, talking to him because only thing Gunner done, and not anything against Gunner, but he hadn't played much. He played in the championship game, but teams were coming after Gunner. They're saying, "Hey, Georgia's going after that transfer from Indiana," and he had some pretty good offers. I mean, Chad Morris's son ended up at Virginia, but Virginia, had a lot of ties with Gunner. A lot of those coaches knew Gunner from different places. So there's other schools too out there that wanted him. So sometimes you just take things for granted. Hey, well, Gunner, he's good, blah, blah, blah. He's a C+ quarterback. And so for people that don't watch the show, he was rated C+ in one game last year in the championship game. But I can't get that off my mind. But I'm just glad we got Gunner, and we answered that question, I hope, to the best of what the guy asked. But certainly the agent wants everybody to know that Gunner gave up some money I don't think Gunner wanted that out, but these agents, some of these agents are good, but not anything like some of these agents you're going to see handle them in the pros.
Coach, is it harder to get a B grade in the conference championship game or harder to become a 5-star with rivals?
Boy, that's a toss-up if I've ever seen it. That grading ratio has got to be, we got to get those going. But I'm saying all this tongue-in-check, but certainly Radi's going to be down there in Miami. He's going to probably go to Joe's Stone Crab.
Hell yeah.
And we're going to be sitting up here just enjoying this good weather. I'm telling you, today, it just makes my mouth water to feel that sunshine out there. I mean, it's just incredible. Really good day for us. So what you got some more questions here?
A couple from UGASports.com as well. Benny15, Coach, is there an underrated player from Georgia that you think will be a really good NFL player? So maybe not a CJ Allen or Christian Miller that are going to be in that top 2 or 3 rounds. Is there a contributor that you see maybe late in the draft that hangs around the NFL for a while?
Cash Jones. I feel like Cash Jones is going to do for a team in the NFL just like he did for us. And going to be heck of a guy on special teams, can run routes, can make yards after the catch, can protect. He'll make a team, and he'll I can see Cash being 5 or 6, 7-year pro up there.
If Cash Jones does that, there will be a lot of people having to delete a lot of tweets, Instagram posts, Twitter rants, Facebook rants.
Where would we have been without Cash Jones the last couple of years? I mean,
I'm with you. I used to give Dayne so much crap about it because he loved the puns and the play on words. But I will say, you guys pointed out
this too.
You contributed his value. Y'all pointed out super early, so I give you both credit for that.
I told you this a long time ago, and we were able to put it out there. I said, watch this kid from Texas, Cash Jones. And the next game he gets in there. And I mean, it's not because I know anything more than anybody else about it, but watching the guy, he just, I used to love those. I love those backs that can be multidimensional and can do everything. And Kenny McIntosh, a great example of a guy just like that, making it up there in the NFL, his ability to run routes. And these guys are starving for him up there.
James Cook.
Well, James Cook can run routes, do everything else. He can deliver the mail, man.
The other name that I thought of, if he ends up with a creative offensive coordinator, Dylan Bell just has that skill set that you could do a lot of gadget stuff out of the backfield as well. He's going to have to hit the combine well, and he's going to need good numbers because you can get cut at that position easily. But I can just see him hanging around, finding a spot.
Yeah, he's good on special teams. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's got good mental approach to the game. He's very smart. I would say Dylan is pro, in my opinion. As far as guys I've seen that played NFL as receiver, he's maybe not quite as far along quickness-wise as McConkey, but all things, and he'll make it. Kobe Young will make it. I think Thomas will make it. Certainly Delp.
I was going to say, I wonder if Oscar Delp could have a Charlie Warner type career.
Yeah, Delp he's a baller. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and he's had a lot of good coaching. And the thing we brag about on this channel is the practice tape, going against really good pro type players in practice, and these guys come in there and scout you, and they see it. Over and over. You got NFL guys coming in here saying that. I mean, so it's not a new thing we're talking about, but and certain teams do practice a lot like we do. They just don't have as many good players as we do. So, but Kirby wants to make sure, number one, that you develop players, but number two, that he keeps that lollipop in the mouth of the freshmen and younger players where they're just not discouraged because they're not getting any reps. So we work the thirds and fourths a lot more than most teams just to make sure we keep them rolling. And a lot of times, end of the year, they surface and really help you.
LT Dog 07 wants me to ask you about Georgia's pass rush moves. It seems like there's been a lack of them, and I'm sure I've missed some, but I rarely see anything other than a bull rush trying to get around the tackle in the last couple of years. What does Georgia do when trying to get the pass rush at the edge?
Well, normally speaking, you do see the bull rush when you have a four-man rush, because if you take an inside pattern and you run a twist there, you run the risk of getting outflanked on first or second down with a running quarterback. So that's why he sees more of that on first and second down. But we do have a plethora of a lot of different things that we do, particularly with that Jaguar package where we got an extra rusher in. But we got all the techniques. We got all the ways to do things. They practice it. Look at the guys that are playing in the pros, Nolan Smith, whoever it might be. But it's not so much the technique, it's just the players being able to execute and get it across. And I'll go back to this. A lot of it had to do with the teams we play, throwing the ball quickly, throwing it accurately, and having an unbelievable percentage on first and second down against us, except in a couple games. I mean, people complete 15 out of 18, things like that. It's, I'm kind of being to the point where you should hopefully get more rush, but when they're throwing it quick, it's hard to get that quick rush on them. And if you do take an inside rush lane and get quarterback gets out of the pocket, you give up a scramble on first down, which hurts you. But I would say that point of emphasis, just like last year, Kirby said going into the fall camp, we really worked hard. We checked pro people. We worked on our running game. And you saw the benefits. I'm sure they're going to look at ways to rush the passer. And we got some better players, too. I mean, some of these guys have developed, and then you're going to see some of these younger guys. And we brought in a guy in the portal that I promise you passes the look test from Auburn that'll make things a little better, too.
Coach dropped the word plethora.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using – after Roddy used the word beginning with a P a minute ago, I thought – what do you say, pontificate or something?
Yeah. Like I'm sitting here with the layman's vocabulary. Y'all are new men in 2026.
Coach working out plethora.
Well, I remember back in the day we had this guy named Ron Muskow. That's his name. He had a brother named Lonnie Ron, and that's his last name, Moscow. And we always used to kid him about stuff, about his vocabulary. One day he came in there, right in front of all the jocks, we're in a basketball room. He said, I'm getting tired of this bullshit. He said, I'm just going to tell you something. My name's Ron Muskow. I'm from Burlington, North Carolina. And says, he just kept on going on. And he says, if you want me to elucidate so you can comprehend, so you won't be so bombastic or flamboyant, I shall. So always remember that you got to elucidate so we can comprehend and not be bombastic or flamboyant. So that's part of it.
It sounds like Mark Jones calling a Georgia game.
Yeah, Mark Jones most people have a play sheet. He's got a thesaurus there. You know, he's going to get all his. But good guy though. He's very talented, but he definitely's got a vocabulary. I didn't realize he's from Canada until I did a game with him.
There you go. I remember seeing Quintavious Johnson. He threw a spin move on one guy, and then he actually got hit the quarterback with a swim. So Gabe Harris has that rip that he does all the time. So I mean, the techniques are there, but I didn't realize the point. Coach taught me something today. I didn't realize that they do that bull rush so much on the 4-man to keep that guy to the inside, to keep that contain on, keep him contained in there. That makes a lot more sense because I'm thinking, hey, why didn't you,
here's the thing you give up.
Long arm this guy, and
you look at rush the passer and the team's got the benefit of running the ball. You give up a lot of gap control if you take an inside rush and the guy zones you and then the tackle goes on and picks up the linebacker and then you're outflanked. So you got to play the run on first and second down too. So that's why you see, and it was a very good question. Very good question.
I like it. All right. This one's from Love UGA. He says, Coach, why didn't we attack down the field more? Will that change in spring?
I think a lot of that's down in distance and a lot of it's just, who you got on the field and all that. But we hit some big plays down the field, not quite as many as maybe some teams, but I think that's certainly another issue that we'd like to get more explosive plays, that aren't just catch and runs, maybe longer passes. Losing Colby Young really hurts your long range. You look at that game early on where he got hurt on the flea flicker. I mean, that's a long down the field pass, but we didn't do it as much as we have in the past. But Gunner's certainly capable of throwing the ball deep.
Some of it's overall speed at receiver too. Like Arian Smith was the speedster on the team in previous years. Georgia didn't have a receiver that fast.
Yeah, I mean, we had Branch in the slot who had more quickness, but definitely we didn't have. We got some guys that can smoke it now on the outside, though. I mean, I think this roll down and then Taylor. I mean, I think our offense will be really good next year, and I really think the biggest change in our team is going to be our defensive secondary. Just going to be so much better at the safety position.
Yep, I agree.
We're out of time and we're out of questions, so this worked out well.
We're out of questions. Okay, well, we're not out of jokes. So this guy and his wife were having this argument, and so he just gets mad and goes upstairs and he puts her picture on the dartboard and starts throwing darts at it. And she hears the noise and she comes up and says, "What are you doing?" He said, "Missing you." So, and here's the last one. This man and woman were getting older, and they'd had an unbelievable life together, and they started talking about what's going to be like in the hereafter, and they're talking about what's it going to be like in heaven, and would they still be able to be together? Would they be able to go places? Would there still be sex and all that? And they just made a pact, whichever one hit it up there first would give a signal to the other one. So sure enough, about 6 weeks later, this guy dies, and about four days later, he says, "Hey, Jody, this is Charlie." She said, "Oh, I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for you." So, "Tell me what it's like." He said, "Well, every day I wake up, eat breakfast, have sex, go out on the golf course, come back, have lunch, have sex, go back out on the golf course, come back, have dinner, have sex, go to bed." She said, "Wow, that's unbelievable in heaven." He said, "I don't know about heaven." He said, I'm a rabbit in a golf course in Scottsdale, Arizona." I couldn't even get the punchline. I'm sorry, but I'm a rabbit.
I love it.
All right, sports fans.
All right, folks. I will.
Roddy, keep us posted. We can't wait for you to tell us who the new coach is going to be. I know you'll have it. You'll have it out there.
we got one name on the board. Check it out at UGASports.com. You'll see what you think. And we'll be in Miami this weekend looking at some of the top recruits that Georgia's going after in South Florida. I'll head down Saturday. The camp is Sunday. We'll have a bunch of interviews for you from that. Then,
is that portal guys or no?
I mean,
Not yet.
not yet. You never know. You make those connections, and we will. We have a few more stories coming. You guys know Tom Lemming, who's been covering recruiting for 100 years. He had his annual photo shoot in Atlanta this past Sunday, and we went out to that. And so we have a lot more recruiting stories coming. We got baseball and basketball going on at UGASports.com. We have the message board for you to check out, and won't be long before we're talking spring practice. So y'all be sure to join us next week at noon on Tuesday. We'll see you then.
How old is Tom Lemming? How old is Tom Lemming now?
Don't know. I didn't see him, but he's been around a long time.
Hey, I remember back in the day, he was one of the few guys that even said anything about recruiting. And if Tom Lemming came to see you, knew you were really a player. But
Exactly.
Is he going to be down in Miami?
I doubt it. I think he kind of does his own thing. But if he makes it, I'll take him to Joe Stonecrab.
Yeah, do it and tell him I said hello. He's probably still using a Kodak camera. He probably doesn't even have an iPhone. That guy was brilliant evaluator talent, though. He was great.
Absolutely. Just like you. All right. We'll see you folks later. Y'all take care.